What happens if an internationally recognized author walks into a bar in Havana looking to use the bathroom? Well, if you're Ernest Hemingway, you walk out with a drink named after you, the Hemingway Daiquiri, otherwise known as the Papa Doble. Welcome back to the Florida Rum Explorer. I'm Brian, and today we're going to talk about the Hemingway Daiquiri, otherwise known as the Papa Doble. Now, this has an interesting story because, as it goes, Ernest Hemingway was living in Havana, Cuba back around the 1930s, and he was out and about from his hotel, and he needed to use the restroom. So he popped into a local bar called the La Floridita in Havana, to use the restroom. And after he was done taking care of business, on his way out, he stopped by the bar, and the bartender was making up a load of traditional daiquiris, rum, lime juice, and sugar. Simple, perfection in the glass. So Hemingway, decided to have one, and when he was done drinking it, he looked at the bartender and said, "It was good, but I prefer mine with double the rum and no sugar." So the bartender whipped it up for him, and that became known as the Papa Doble. So it was about 4 ounces of rum and a splash of lime. That's a pretty dry drink, and not too many people can handle that. But Hemingway was known more for quantity over quality, and he was known to drink like a dozen of those in one day, which tells you about his legendary drinking prowess. But the bartender, being a good bartender, wanted to be able to capitalize on the fact that he's got a famous author coming into his bar, ordering a drink. He decided to mellow out the drink a little bit, to call it the Papa Doble, to call it the Hemingway Daiquiri. So what he did was he added, instead of adding sugar to it, because he wanted to keep the dryness to the drink, in honor of Hemingway himself. So what he did was he added a little bit of maraschino liqueur, not maraschino cherry juice, which when I first read the recipe, that's what I thought it called for. But maraschino liqueur, completely different. And grapefruit juice. Grapefruit juice, not pineapple. So just using the natural sweetness of the liqueur and the grapefruit juice, he took a little bit of the bite of the dryness off of the drink, added a hint of sweetness, and it became a very popular drink. They sold a lot of them. I believe they still do today. So we're going to make the Hemingway Daiquiri, and I think you'll enjoy it. I kind of like it. I've never had it before. I had it for the first time last night trying out the recipe, and kind of enjoyed it. So we're going to start off, of course, with our trusty old shaker here. Set that down there, and we are going to take our measure. We're going to take 2 ounces of white rum or silver rum. I'm using Cruisin'. I like Cruisin'. It's relatively inexpensive. It's a good quality. It's from the U.S. Virgin Islands, so I kind of like that too. Love the Virgin Islands. And then we're going to take half an ounce of maraschino liqueur. Now, you can get the Luxardo maraschino liqueur for close to $40, or you can be like me, a cheap SOB, and get the Cristiani maraschino liqueur. So this is only about $19. I was actually looking for this stuff in a miniature because, how often are you going to use this stuff unless you make this drink regularly? But, so there we go. Half an ounce of maraschino liqueur. And then we're going to go with 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. Give it a little shake. Can settle. 3/4 of an ounce of lime. Okay. And then half an ounce of grapefruit juice. I'm using unsweetened ruby red, so whatever in here in terms of sugar is the natural sugar, whatever God intended for the grapefruit to have. And then we are going to shake it up, give it a shake. Here we go. All right, that's nice and done, shook up. So to serve it, you basically take a champagne glass, pour the entirety of the contents in there. It's nice and chilled now. I put a lot of ice here, so this should be very chilled. Okay. And traditionally, it's served with a lime wedge or a lime wheel. So there you can kind of see the color. It's kind of got kind of a cloudy, almost golden hue to it. Definitely smell the lime juice in there. Get a little hint of the rum, but you really don't smell it over the juices. And I'm getting the maraschino liqueur. If you don't know, it's cherry flavored liqueur, and then a hint of that, yeah, a hint of that grapefruit. So let's give it a test. Okay, so it is dry, no doubt about it, but it's not overpoweringly dry. The liqueur, the pineapple, grapefruit juice definitely adds a bit of sweetness to it, but not cloyingly so. It is refreshing. It is relatively light. You're not weighed down by the sugars that you would normally with a simple syrup. I can see though that it may not be to everyone's taste because it still has a bit of dryness to it. If you have to, you know, you're going against a recipe, but you could always add like a quarter of an ounce of simple syrup to it, maybe a half an ounce if you really like it sweet. But I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm going to drink it the way it was intended to be drunk, nice and dry with just a hint of sweetness, and enjoy the Central Florida day. So until next time, everyone, take care.